Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go. Welcome. This video is live. I thought about doing a pre-recorded video, and last night I just really needed to rest, and I did that. Spent time with family. Thank you all so much. And right as I went live, my throat started doing something weird. Today, I wanted to talk about the Isaac Apodaca trial. He is on trial for the horrific event that happened to Grace Jennings. I do have a link to Grace Jennings' family's GoFundMe down in the description. She is being remembered as this positive person. Her family really, because during the trial, what Kiara believed and what Kiara says that Isaac made her believe about Grace, I personally don't believe any of that is true. I don't believe that Grace was involved in the horrific event that Kiara believed that Grace was involved with. And to me, some things came up on the stand with Kiara where she seemed like she could be easily confused, or she came off suggestible to me. Let me know y'all's thoughts down in the description. I do have a video that I did breaking down different aspects of this case, different aspects about the defendant, about so Trial Live TV, they are streaming this live. They are likely streaming the closing arguments right now. We did a joint live together this past Saturday. No, it's Saturday. I think it was Saturday. And it was a great time. We will definitely collaborate in the future, possibly even sometime next week. Keep your eyes open for that. If you hear honking, I am at my work office, and people you're supposed to yield to traffic when you turn, but people get upset. So if you heard honking, you might hear an ambulance go by. My work office is close to the hospital. All right. So Kiara, to me, when she got up on the stand, she looked incredibly nervous, very anxious, understandably. Her hair was shaven. And I don't know if she shaved her head bald and then some of it grew back. But she had kind of like a buzz cut almost, and she was in regular clothes. So sometimes when a co-defendant or when somebody else that is also they're in jail, they normally come to the jail in their prison outfit. They allowed her to be in court in regular streetwear. She even had on earrings and a necklace as well. And my thoughts about that, because sometimes they don't allow like jewelry, or I don't know. So but that it was just interesting to me. She's likely being held separate from the other inmates that are waiting for trials, or because sometimes there's a holding area where they all go to, and she was likely held separate. I don't know that to be true. I am guessing. Okay. But with this, she talks about her breakup with Grace when she was a teenager, and that she never really let that relationship go. And then in 2019, she met and started dating Isaac. And then she was asked to identify the defendant. And the way that she chose to identify him was, she said he has on a quite nice suit and a blue tie. And I think she's unique. She has completed a psychological evaluation, and we do not know the details of that, have not been released to the public. Those details will likely never be released to the public, but I had a lot of questions about what her possible diagnoses might have been. But to me, that was kind of an odd way to, normally they say the color of the suit or something like that, but I think she might process things in a different way. And I think she was very nervous. And so her description was a quite nice suit with a blue tie. Okay. She talked about the fact that they moved to the garage because Isaac was encouraging her to take some distance from her mother, and I personally think that Isaac was trying to isolate her. If all of this is true, I personally think that Isaac was trying to get more control over her. I will definitely be talking about the forensic psychiatrist testimony because he talked about a lot, and we will definitely dig into that in just a little bit. On April 4th of 2022, that they talk about that incident, and she talked about having a difficult time because that was the one where Isaac allegedly attacked her. That is the allegation. She ended up dropping the charges. She did have physical injuries. He broke her thumb and she had some bruises. She talked about the reason why she dropped the charges was because she didn't want to make his life harder and didn't want to pursue legal charges. And that is really common where the victim in a situation, sometimes they will internalize, like, if I report this and his life is hard, it'll be my fault. And there can be some shame or like not wanting to make their life harder or believing that the person will change. And she said that they ended up getting back together after about 3 weeks after that incident. And it was a honeymoon phase. And the relationship ended up being harmful again. She talked about the adult work. And the prosecutor asked how she wanted that to be referred to. Like, was she okay with sex work? Was she okay? Like, how did she want it to be said? And she really didn't have a preference. She acknowledged that there's a lot of different ways to describe that activity. But she basically said that she was paid for engaging in intimacy, and then she would give the money to him, and he would sometimes give her a gift card, like an Amazon gift card. That was how she purchased the sword, was because he gave her an Amazon gift card. And that would be an example of financial harm. And there are all kinds of content warnings for this case. So, content warning. She also talked about engaging in that type of work even after being harmed, where she ended up having a hospital kit done. I think y'all are reading between the lines to know what I'm talking about. YouTube does not like certain content, so I'm trying to be YouTube friendly. But that really he was the one that convinced her to continue to do that type of work. And but he wasn't working, and he was living off, like, what she and he it's my understanding he would book the appointments for her. She didn't know how to use the website that clients would book on, and that she told him that she wanted to stop, and he said that no, they already have clients booked. And that was definitely a concern, and the defense likely did not want that information to come in, did not want, because I think during the jury instruction portion, I think they want that prior bad act to be excluded. Like, they talked about all of that during today, when talking about the jury instructions. She talked about that Isaac had her convinced that he was the archangel Gabriel. Now, I think she has some religious stuff because she talked about being able to see ghosts and being able to see certain things, but she believed that he was the archangel Gabriel, and he started telling her stories about herself that nobody else knew. And I wonder, because she didn't go into the thing that he said, because she said it's something that it's her darkest secret that nobody else knows. But I wonder if it was something like that, something bad happened with a family member, or it reminds me of those people that are mentalists that can just kind of read people and get an idea of, I'm getting a feeling that you had a difficult childhood. I'm getting a feeling that you don't really get along with your dad. I'm getting a feeling that, like, I wonder if it was something like that, where he kept asking things like that and eventually got to the thing that she thought nobody could possibly know, without her knowing that she was giving subtle cues or clues because he started very broad. So nobody has a perfect childhood. I think anybody can find something negative from childhood. Most people have some type of minor, so like the fact that somebody had a difficult relationship with a parent, that's not unheard of. And so but to her that was her deepest darkest secret. And it might have been some of her dark thoughts. I don't know what was going on. Um and, uh but this was something that I think him doing that made her believe him more, that the things he was saying, that he had this, like, divine inspiration, and that I think she put him on this higher than her level, and that's when he became a dominant person and she became submissive to him, but not in a safe way. So there's some people that are involved in dom submissive relationships, but there's safety. There's safe words, there's consent, there's talk about what's okay, what's not okay. Um Everybody's being respected. Nobody's being asked to do something that they wouldn't do. You're allowed to say, not allowed, but technically, like, you're allowed to say no. Um, but it sounds problematic, and I'm being nice with that language. Okay. Um, she talked about having a tattoo of that ghost organization. So she believed that he was involved in this special secret organization that unalived bad people. So people that harmed children, that harmed other people, and they would take those people out. And she wanted to be a part of something. She desperately wanted some meaning. And I'm adding the word meaning, but like she wanted this, like, to feel a part, to belong, and in order to belong to this group, he told her that she had to have her first kill. Like, that's what she believed she had to do, and he allegedly told her that he had taken out 40 people. I don't know if that's true. She also talked about him going on the dark web and showing her videos that were, like, she never wants to talk about or see those videos again. I wonder if it was violent videos that he was trying to desensitize her to violence. Like, that's my own, or if it was something sexual. Like, that's where my mind goes. It was either something um uh very graphic, or it was something like that. But she did not go into what that was. And I think the state, because to me, the state handled her with kid gloves. And what I mean by that is they didn't push her too far. When she said, I don't want to talk about that, they would move on to the next topic, because the thing she said she didn't want to talk about, it wasn't necessarily relevant to what the state was trying to get out of her. Um, and we're gonna talk about cross-examination once I finish moving through some of my notes on this part. Isaac told her that he had seen a video on the dark web that he believed to be her, and that he believed Grace was the person, like, that was accepting money for a crime. And it's so odd that she didn't see how the thing he accused Grace of doing was the thing, like, he forced her, and I'm like, he had her doing selling her body, and I don't think she wanted to, but I think she wanted to please him. I think she wanted to make him happy, and I think that's why she went along with it. There's the ambulance, if you can hear it, right by the hospital. Everything's okay. All right. Let's see. Uh, on the day of the incident, he supposedly asked her, or the night before, around the time of the incident, he asked her if she still wanted to take out Grace. And she said, duh. And he told her that she would rank up in the organization Ghost if she did this. She didn't sleep that night. She was angry because of things Isaac said. And allegedly, Isaac was saying, like, reminding her of the bad thing Grace had done to her. And I don't believe it's true. So I think Kiara came off as a very vulnerable person and but also a very dark, twisted, disturbed individual, and I think if she had never met Isaac, I think her violent fantasies, I think it would have stayed a fantasy. But I still think she would have thought about harming people. I don't know if she actually would have done it because she needed him to like rev her up according to her testimony, and she could have been tested. I don't know. So you have to figure out how credible you find her. Um I think most of what she said, it sounded credible. Like she didn't seem like she's a good liar. I could be wrong. But to me, she didn't come off like a very good liar because her interview didn't really make sense. Like she was leaving out important things. What she testified to on the stand, to me, it told a story. Other people can think different, but that's how I felt about it. She talked about wanting Kiera out of the house and that there was a part of her that didn't want to harm her. She just didn't want her in the house. And Isaac is the one that invited Grace to the house. Okay. She talked about the plea agreement. So I think the state wanted to bring up the fact that she does have a plea agreement because so Kira is the one that killed Grace. Like she is the one that picked up the sword that did the things. Kira did it. Now, I think it was at the behest and at the coaxing and the coercion of Isaac. That's my personal thoughts. We will see what the jury says. But and she's still gonna go to jail. My understanding her deal is 30 years. That she'll still go away for 30 years with her deal. And I hope that she continues to work on herself, continues self-exploration, get some therapy. I maybe medication if she needs it. I hope that happens. Um, she also thought that she would get paid for doing the crime. She didn't remember how much. But that was just kind of said. I was like, "Huh, okay." She also, mentioned that she wasn't fully honest and was scared during her police interview, that she did make some inaccurate statements, that Isaac never swung the sword, that it was only her. Uh, the defense asked her so now on cross-examination, the defense asked her if she has every reason to minimize her yes or no, you have every reason to minimize your responsibility. I don't know that she understood what he was asking because she said yes. And then she was asked, um, you have every reason to maximize his responsibility. And she said yes, but I don't think she understood the question. I think she was confused. So because he was saying yes or no. Is this true? You're trying to minimize your responsibility. And she's like, yeah, I'm trying to be like, yeah, it wasn't, or she was being honest. Like, yeah, I didn't want to make it sound like it was that big of, I don't know. Like, but that part, she completed the 10th grade. I think she dropped out in the 11th grade. And she came off to me as somebody that could be easily persuaded or confused. And I wondered if she really heard the full question. I don't know. The defense also attempted to attack her credibility. And once again, to me, she came off confused. When they were trying to point out discrepancies, she seemed confused. She also said that she thought she was seeing the ghost of Grace and Isaac for like 2 months. And I don't know if she was tested for any psychosis. Um, I don't know that. All right. Let me know if y'all have any questions about Kiera. I I think her testimony helped the state, but I don't know how much credence or how much weight the jury is going to give it because I still think she's responsible for the action that she did, even if somebody else coerced her into doing it. I think she said that Isaac threatened to harm her mom if she didn't hurt Grace. Um, and I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I don't know. There were other defendants that I thought clearly minimized their role. I thought Juliana from the Brendan Banfield case, I thought she clearly minimized her role. I didn't feel like Kiara was trying to minimize, but it came off to me like she was confused at times. That's how it felt to me. Now for the forensic psychiatrist. He was a hoot. Like he had to be redirected by the state. He had to be redirected by the defense. He had to be redirected by the judge at least twice. I counted at least twice. And he did not like to give yes or no answers. Every answer was an explanation. Yes or no, you used to work at Mount Sinai Hospital. Yes, I worked at there, and like it would have been an explanation. He didn't just say yes or no. And sometimes I think when an expert tries too hard, sometimes it can make them seem like they're too far on one side. So he seemed very much on the state side, not on the defense side at all. And like, because to me, a good expert is balanced, but they present their facts in a way that I think is balanced. Um, because I think it's honest to admit, okay, so I looked at all the messages, I looked at all the this and that. There is a chance that I could have misinterpreted it. There is a chance. I don't think I did. I think it's more likely that Isaac was coercive and that he was, but is there a chance that Kira could have been? It could happen, but he would not give an inch at all. He fought hard for everything that he thought. He did mention all the things that he reviewed, including Kiara's psych eval and much more. Once again, it breaks my heart that we're not able to see that. It's okay. He also talked about coercive control, and in a dependent relationship, one loses choice. And the example he gave of that was Isaac forcing her into adult work, and that he believed that Kiara lost a sense of agency and that she was supporting the able-bodied partner. Instead of, like, setting a boundary, like, "Hey, if I'm going to work, you should work too. Like, or you should be doing something too." Like there were no boundaries in this relationship, in my opinion. And he also mentioned that the person being compelled, the person being controlled, feels as though this control is an act of love or an extension of what they're doing for their partner. So the person that's being compelled to do a crime, like, so they feel like this is how they're showing their partner how much they love them. Because the state was trying to get just a clinical understanding of how could a person be coerced into unaliving somebody. How could that happen? And that Kiara really did think that she was doing what was best for their relationship, that this was an act of love, and it was twisted and it wasn't true. He also went into trauma bond, and the way that he describes it is, once again, it involves a relationship between somebody causing harm and their victim. And then within the relationship, the dominant person uses positive and negative experiences to reinforce control. So the positive experiences keep the victim hooked, and the victim blames themselves for bad experiences, internalizing the perspective of the dominant person. So Kiara might have internalized that physical attack on her by Isaac, that alleged, I can say alleged, I don't know. That attack on her, that she could have viewed that as like, I shouldn't have said that to him, or like, it's because I wasn't, I don't know, like sometimes the person shames and blames themselves, or because I said this, he got in trouble and had to spend whatever the thing, if the person had to spend a night in jail or something like that. The doctor also talked about gaslighting, and the state mentioned that term in their closing again. And he described it as instigating feelings that person would not believe it was true. So it's pretty much creating feelings, memories, It's basically altering the victim's reality. And while I do think that my personal thought that Isaac was controlling Kiara, I still think she's responsible for the behavior she did. Okay. All right. And she's pled guilty to it, and she will face sentencing, I think, after this trial. Um, Isaac did not seem to like that part of the testimony. He was making some eyes, like he did not, because sometimes the pool camera would pan over to him to just to show his reactions, and um, I just saw him like he seemed to not like that being said about him. I'm just gonna leave that there. Um, the psychiatrist talked about that, um, hmm, that message that Isaac messaged Kiara for 15 hours, and he was attempting to persuade Kiara to do the thing, and he went into more details. And then he talked about the inducements or the perks she would get from doing the behavior, and how and that Kiara wanted him to induce anger in her. Okay. And so he was asked, why does someone take the dominant stance? And he mentioned coercive control. These types of fantasies, this is not common. So this doesn't happen in every situation. People like this doesn't always happen. But and then the expert was also asked, what benefit does the person doing the control get out of it? And it's pretty much having control over somebody else. I wonder if the jury is going to think about the fact that Isaac dated people younger than him and not people closer to his age. He started dating Grace when she was, I think, 16. I think she was 16. And when in his interview with the police, he says, like, I know that was a crime. Like the fact that, because I think he was 20 and she was 16. um, I just I wonder. I wonder how the jury is gonna see some of these things. On cross-examination, wow, wow. He clarified that he did not have any face-to-face interviews with Isaac or Kira. So he interviewed people around them, but he was not given access to Isaac or Kira. And their attorneys probably were like, no. He did not meet with them, and he based his opinion based on the discovery, the things he saw, the things he reviewed. And when he was just asked to say yes or no, did you ever examine Kiara? He said, I didn't examine her, but I would, da, da, da," and he would go on and on to get his narrative across. And they talked about techniques during the interrogation, because the defense is almost trying to make it sound like the detective in the interview tricked Isaac into admitting things, or I don't know, like they tried to bring up that. And on redirect, the state asked about false confessions, and that was that part. Today, the defense asked for a directed verdict. The defense did rest today, so Isaac did not testify. Ooh, the content creator in me, I would have loved if he had testified. We might have reacted to that live. If he is convicted, I think he will give a statement at sentencing. He seems like somebody that wants to get his side out there and won't like the narrative that's been put out about him. Because even with the police officer, he was trying to make himself the victim. I wonder if his lawyer during his closing, so I haven't finished watching closing arguments from today. I wonder if his lawyer is going to try to like, woe is Isaac. Kier is the bad person, and he just went to the bathroom and she did it. He's the one that called the police. So I think the defense is going to try to make him the hero, or like, I don't know. Like he's the one that turned her in, but it's just it's weird. Um uh let me see. The defense talks about that Kiara was the mastermind of this plan. The judge did not do a directed verdict. They went on to jury instructions and closing arguments. The defense very much wants to paint Kiara as the manipulator. All right. And so, with this, my final thoughts on it, I think there's a strong chance the jury could convict him. There is a lesser included. I think there's second degree. There's something under because he's been charged with coercion, so coercing the crime, and he's also been charged with the crime. Even though he never touched or I don't know, he might have touched it and wiped it off because his fingerprints aren't on the weapon, but I wonder if he wiped his hands. I don't know. Like wiped the sword. I don't know. I don't know. But don't do crimes, people. Be kind. Don't do crimes. That's what works out best. The texts were whoa. The text between the two of them, and in his interview, he tried to say that it wasn't him and it was her. The state specifically asked Kira if she did message from his phone. Like, was she setting that up? I don't think she's a mastermind. Like, I don't like she didn't come off as a mastermind to me. Let me know. Like, it was similar with Juliana. Like, Brendan tried to make her out to be like that, and Juliana wasn't. She wasn't she wasn't the mastermind. Brendan was. And we'll see what the jury thinks. These are my general thoughts. Uh People always come up with some type of excuse. He was like, I was trying to go stay with my mom. And I don't know if that was true. Like, I wonder if he knew there was a sick person in his mom's house. And there's no way, if he's recovering from some illness, that his mother is going to let him go there. And I think his family believes him. Oh, the jail calls with his mom. Uh, uh, that's where there's a thin line between support and enabling. And because a lot of the things he said, he's the one that comes off like the liar to me personally. He's the one that comes off like the person that's trying to change the narrative, control what everybody thinks, like present things in a way where he's the victim, very much deny, attack, or no, yeah, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender, Darvo. It comes off that way to me. And so those are my thoughts. The next case we'll be talking about, we'll be going back to the Ohio case. I did watch Brian Inton did a video with the prosecutor from the Turpin case. And she talked about some of the difficulties those children faced while they were in foster care. And so I wanted to talk about that in relationship to the Ohio 16. If you don't watch cases with children, I will see you all next time. I am going to be out of the office. And so I will be back streaming on next Tuesday. So as long as everything in the world is like, okay. So the goal is I'll be back live 6 p.m. next Tuesday. Remember to be kind, don't do crimes, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.